Welcome to the Fit Girl Magic podcast. If you are ready to find your inner magic, develop great habits, and a rock steady mindset to feel confident, comfortable, and fit in your body, you are in the right place. I am Kim Barnes Jefferson, and I'll be giving you weekly doses of health, fitness, and life tips sprinkled with humor and real talk. If you're ready to be consistent without the stress of perfection, magic makers, it's time to slip into your favorite pair of PJs, grab some coffee, kick back, and listen to today's show. Hey, magic makers, before we dive into the show, I want to do a quick reality check. In 2023, about 62% of U.S. adults said that they were drinking. And fast forward to recent data, that number has dropped to 54%. That's the lowest rate in about 90 years. Translation, a whole lot of people are quietly putting their wine glasses back up into the cupboard. And maybe you're like me these days, a couple of drinks to hit a little differently. The hangovers are a bit louder, sleep, anxiety hangs around, and that stubborn belly fat, girl, let's not even talk about it. You know, midlife bodies, they don't play fair anymore. The days of us bouncing back after a few cocktails the next day, it's left the building. So which brings me to today's guest, Sarah Kate. She is the queen of booze-free living. She's a writer, creator, and one of North America's first sober sommeliers. Yeah, sommeliers for the sober crowd. Her mission is to help women feel amazing and find the best non-alcoholic options without feeling like they're sentenced to a life of sad mocktails and sparkling water with a lime. We're talking sober curious life, why alcohol suddenly hits different in perimenopause, and how to feel elevated without the hangover attacks. So let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Miss Sarah Kate.
Hey, Magic Makers. It's this week's iTunes review. Amy W. Fitness says, Kim knows her stuff. Keeps it real on all levels. 5 stars. Awesome podcast series on relatable topics that women deal with. Kim's advice, along with her sense of humor, is what everyone needs to find their fit girl magic. Well, thank you so much, Amy W. Fitness. That warms my heart. If you haven't yet left your review, please head over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and hit rate. And then hopefully it's a 5-star hint and leave me a review. Thanks.
All right, magic makers. I know that this fact might surprise you, but did you know that since 2023, women have seen a double-digit decrease in alcohol consumption? And it's not just skipping a glass of wine here. They are just realizing that their midlife bodies are not feeling the alcohol, especially when perimenopause comes knocking on the door and it just doesn't play nice with alcohol anymore. So today's guest is Sarah Kate, and she's basically, I'm going there. She is the Beyonce of booze-free living. Beehive, don't come for me. But she's a writer, creator, and one of North America's first sober sommeliers. And if you go to her website, I was tooling around there. I was I'm just going to pop on for a minute. I was there for 20 minutes. She's got some amazing recipes, and her mission here is to help women trade the hangover for something more elevated. So we're going to talk today about being sober curious and how alcohol impacts your body, and really, how can you live a booze-free life without feeling like you're living a booze-free life? So welcome to the show, Sarah Kate.
Thank you so much for having me. It is such a joy and pleasure to be here with you today.
Yeah, interestingly, I want to say I had another person on the show probably 4 years ago, and we talked about sober curious. And, she goes, it was very challenging for her because, and I want to see if this is your experience. She said it was very challenging for her because most people get uncomfortable when you go to a party and you're like, Sarah, can I get you something? And then you're like, I'll have ice water or, something non-alcoholic. And they'll be like, you're not drinking? What's up?
Yeah.
And then you kind of feel like you have to explain your situation versus,
yeah,
can I just not have a glass of water and you just leave me alone?
Yeah.
Are you over 40 and realizing booze just hits you just a bit differently? You're not bouncing back the way you did back in the day. Yeah, same.
That was me. And maybe you're wondering, am I still drinking because I actually enjoy it? Is it just a habit? I don't want to be odd woman out. Or do I feel like I need it to unwind after a long, busy day? If we ask ourselves some deeper questions, we can get some honest answers about how alcohol fits into your life. And if that's you, I got you. I created the Guilt-Free Alcohol Guide. It is my revised guide to help you really understand what's going on with your body after 40, how hormones and sleep change the game, how to really tune in what works for your life now. And we're not talking about here are your rules. We're not talking about drink this, not that. It's just pure clarity, awareness, and to really help you find peace and decide where alcohol fits into your life. So grab it from the link in my show notes and let's figure this out like a grown ass woman who trusts themselves.
That's so funny that things have changed so quickly, because 4 years ago, there was still a lot of stigma around not drinking. But to your point, now it's really become normal, so normalized that people are being mindful. I don't always say like, oh, people are getting sober, or people are sober curious, because there is still a stigma, unfortunately, around the word sober. Mm-hmm. But it's unbelievable how many people have started to, think about being mindful, like how much how much am I drinking? Do I need a drink at this moment? There is still a big struggle, I think, for most people when you go to restaurants or when you go to, a dinner party. You don't want to be the only one who's not drinking. So I know that there's still struggles out there, but it's way less stigmatized to say I'm not drinking anymore. So I used to work in nonprofits. And what we used to say is like, if we solved the problem we're trying to solve right now, whatever that hunger, food insecurity, whatever, we wouldn't have jobs anymore. So we want to work so hard so that we don't get to a point where we're not needed anymore because the problem is solved. 4 years ago, I was like, I really want, it's going to take dozens of years for the grip of big alcohol to release itself from the Americans. And we're like, I was 50% there already. Like, I really do feel like it's it's the shortest time frame over 4 years. Like, we have all collectively, thank God, said we don't want to harm ourselves like this as much anymore. It's it's not a we're never drinking again. I don't think that's probably will happen for a very, very long time because people still smoke,
and knowing everything they know about cigarettes.
Smoking. Yeah. So I think that it's great where we're at right now is that you could go to a party or you can go to a restaurant and say like, I'm not, I just want a glass of water, and people don't even blink anymore.
Right. This is like probably 10 years ago or more. I used to do fitness competitions. And
I saw your hot body on your website, girl. That was pretty cool. I was like, holy shoot. You were ripped.
And for 6 months, for 6 months out of the year, I did not drink. And, I would get the like, can't you just have a glass? Can't you just, and it just like, and for me, it felt like it made them more uncomfortable that I didn't drink. Mm-hmm. And did you have that same experience when you first?
Yeah, it makes people really uncomfortable. And I actually lost not a lot. It wasn't a huge, there wasn't a big, fight or anything with this person, but we stopped hanging out because she really couldn't control her drinking, but she wanted to so bad. And she was so uncomfortable by my success that over time, she stopped inviting me to things, and I would get upset that I was being left out. And then finally, part of my own journey was being more clear about myself, like being more comfortable in my own skin and realizing some of these people weren't really my friends to begin with, or let them go, let them.
Yeah.
Let her believe what she wants. There's other ways I can fill my cup. So, but yeah, I did. It always makes people, it's too funny actually. Sometimes when I used to tell people like I quit drinking, I don't drink anymore. You sometimes get somebody, they just launch into their own struggles with alcohol. They're so happy to have somebody to talk about.
Yeah.
It's such a hidden
Yes.
Hidden issue that people don't, especially women. Women would always open up to me immediately. Like I didn't have to. I just say I don't drink anymore. I stopped drinking last year. I'm sober. I don't even say I'm sober. Actually, I don't identify with that. But I would say I don't drink.
Right.
I'm alcohol free. And they'd launch into their story. But I've been really struggling. It literally happened to me 2 months ago at a 50th birthday party. The woman I was sitting across from spent the whole entire dinner telling me about how she wants to cut back and how her husband's not an alcoholic, but drinks way too much and has been trying to get him, asking me for all my resources, typing notes on her phone. And I thought, man, after 4 years, this kind of stuff is still happening. Like people are still struggling.
People are still struggling because if you, I was at like I was at a woman's, like we were at a woman's retreat and we were just talking about like, what's heavy on her mind. And this one woman, she talked about how she had daily cannabis use. Mm-hmm. And she said, and people frowned upon. She's like, I would say like, yeah, like I smoke a joint every day. And people would be like, ugh. Mm-hmm. If I told them I drank a glass of wine a night or a bottle of wine a night, no one would bat an eye.
No one bats an eye.
And we're like, why is that acceptable versus I have a joint every night or, I do meth every night. Like, why is like alcohol like
right.
Whatever.
So accepted.
Right.
Well, also, and let's, if we push that a little further, even, it's the smoking piece of it. I think it's the smoking and the fact that when, you and I grew up in an era where like joints it's the hippies in the smoking area who were smoking weed or joints, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
If I said to you, and I don't, but just say like, or if somebody said to somebody else, I have a CBD gummy every night. Okay.
You'd be like, whatever.
Right. Like it's the format that is frowned upon with this, with the actual smoking. And, you can get THC drink and CBD drinks now, like seltzers and stuff.
Right.
And actually sidebar, but there's a couple of really good brands. I'm not going to get into the names of them, but like I had one the other day. I'm not really Cali sober where like I have THC cannabis at all, but I do because I'm writing stuff about it. Every once in a while I'll try it and I'm not afraid to because I didn't go through AA. I'm not an addict in my head. I'm it's going to be fine. Like I don't need a label. I'm trying this for my work, like whatever. But there's some good ones that have really low dose. So this one had THC, CBD, and CBG in it. And I was like, that's great. Like they're using all this knowledge of like the plant to create like, because some people can't handle THC, but the CBG like kind of balances out some of the negative side effects of THC. But to your point though, you could have, what if I said I have a CBD seltzer every day? I don't think anybody would bat an eye.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
And, and you're right. You're right. Cause like alcohol has become, other than prohibition has become so socialized, that like and it's become part of our, I'm going to say our vocabulary, like, mommy juice and, that the after work drink and all of those other things. It's just part of how we think we need to relax.
Yeah. And I think that, I have to hand it to all the various lifestyle influencers now. Like, this is going to sound sort of bitter, but I'm not at all. It's so ironic. Like there was nobody talking about cutting back 4 years ago, but now every big influencer, every big thought leader and lifestyle advocate is talking like every single one of them. Mel Robbins, Amy Shaw, like all the big like wellness doctors, what's her name now? The one the menopause lady, Mary Claire Haver,
and Celine Johnson, they're all talking about how they're
all
living
of them,
sober, curious,
alcohol free, cutting back, mindful, whatever. Every huge influencers and creators are like, I don't drink anymore. And I have to hand it to them. They've been part of this sort of like push, this movement against being trashed all the time. The mommy like being trashed all the time. They're starting to change the narrative to, this would have been a much different conversation if I had been on the podcast a few years ago, because we would have still been talking about the uphill battle to get rid of mommy wine culture.
Yes.
There has been a noticeable difference. And I track these things, not officially, and I don't, set out with a pen and paper, to go to stores and track this stuff. But there's been a noticeable difference at, TJ Maxx. Home Sense, and these places, no more of these like mommy's juice, mommy's,
Yeah, the little like wine koozie
wine
kind of thing.
glasses.
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't seen as many of these like onesies with like mommy's needs a break with a wine glass on it.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I think that I have to hand it to some of these retailers. I think they got so much pushback from so many women in the sober community who were like, we don't want to see this stuff on the shelves.
Right.
There's been a noticeable decrease now. Like you can barely find at, the home senses near me. I don't see it at all anymore. And
No, I can't.
it
It's
lifts,
funny.
it lifts my spirit for sure to see that.
It's interesting because I was like, yeah, I'm like, I haven't been looking for it, but I was like, you're right. Like, at least
not
I
in your
would see,
face.
it's not in my face as it used to be.
It used to be so prominent.
So prominent. Like
I used to write letters.
and-
Yep. I used to write tweets. I emailed all the time. Like, this is disgusting. I would send pictures to head office and be like, this is gross. Get this off the shelves. And I'm not the only one. I know lots of people that were doing that. And I think that we
Right.
were whether it was us or whether it was, they were whoever it was reading the room. That
Right.
this wasn't. So the conversation now is, okay, great. We are starting to be mindful. We're all aware now. The government has come out, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration and the U.S. Health has all come out and said, it was the Surgeon General. The Surgeon General who was like, this is not, the data is there. You can't drink and like, don't drink that much anymore. Like, let's cut back. So collectively, we all know that it's not great for us.
Right.
The piece that I'm the most interested in from a personal perspective is the perimenopause and menopause
Right.
piece. And I'll get to that in a second. But the biggest challenge is now going to be, okay, great. I want to quit. I want to cut back on drinking, but it's really hard because alcohol's still everywhere. So how do I do that? But then, okay, great. I've stopped. I've cut out alcohol from my life for 6 months, and the thrill of not drinking the challenge is over.
Yes.
How do you get on? What's next? And my answer always is that, I'm 5 years in and I hardly think about it anymore. If I wasn't working in non-alcoholic drinks, I wouldn't even be thinking about it. Like I barely even drink the stuff anymore because I just forget. Like I sit down at the table for dinner and there's not even part of me that's like, oh, I really need a glass of wine. But that's a little bit of a different situation. The challenge, I think, for a lot of people is going to be, I want to have a glass of wine at a restaurant.
Right.
And then looking at the menu and seeing that there's a mocktail with mint and Sprite.
Right.
And that's the mocktail, despite all the products. And things are getting better. I would say there's a lot more restaurants and bars now trying to make better drinks, but it's women want their wine or even beer. I mean,
that's
what we want.
You want to sit down and like, you want to feel included.
Yeah.
But not like you said, like, I don't want to have the like kind of half-assed mocktail because you think you should have it on the menu, but you haven't put one drop of a thought into it.
Yeah. Or, I think that the big thing for me, and this is a whole other conversation, but is when you're drinking alcohol, you're asking the som at the restaurant or the waiter, your server.
Yeah.
I'm ordering this dish.
Can you help me out?
Can you help me? Which wine is going to be best with that? Let's just say a restaurant has 2 really fancy mocktails on their menu. You're not pairing that with your steak.
No.
It's all right, you're going to have your steak and you're going to
have a strawberry mojito.
have a virgin. And there are restaurants that are really working hard at making really great options, right? Like you can get non-alcoholic margaritas now. And if you're having guac or nachos, it's awesome to be able to order a non-alcoholic margarita. But if you're at a nicer restaurant and you're ordering something that's like very specific to the restaurant, like you want to have a glass of wine with that and or something to pair with it. And mocktails aren't necessarily going to be that thing. So to me, that's the next hurdle in hospitality is like, how are we continuing to push inclusivity in restaurants? Because that's what's going to help shift the movement further ahead because people are going to be comfortable enough to say, I'm going to have, if the options are there and they can say, I'm being mindful. Great. There's something on the menu for me. I'm going to order this and I'm going to be able to check that box that today I was mindful.
Right.
Rather than feeling like I've missed out. Because then if I feel like I've missed out tomorrow, I'm not being mindful. Yeah.
And you're right. The whole FOMO thing is real because you want to be able to have that fancy glass where everyone else is having a fancy glass. I want to have that fancy glass in my hand.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love the passion here about this. And so like, what was your moment that you're like, this is what I need to do now. Like, this is my new
Yeah.
mission.
Oh man. Okay. So it's really funny. I decided to, and I'm going to try and make this quick because it's a little bit of a convoluted story, but I chose to do a 30-day alcohol-free experiment starting April 6th, 2020. And I had made the decision before COVID, the pandemic started. So, I mean, that was April 6th was like the beginning of lockdowns, the beginning of
Yeah.
social distancing. And everybody was joking about drinking for months and months and months and months. And I was like, okay, I'm not drinking. I did my 30-day alcohol-free experiment. But in for the next 8 months, so from April to December, I was, it's hard to explain, but I guess I was being mindful. I was sober curious, but I was literally just like, I don't want to drink anymore, but I'm going to give myself time to wean myself off. And I'm not moderating. I'm actually moderating with an end goal to not drink anymore. I didn't want to drink. I didn't feel good about myself. I'm like, that's it. So in that 8 months, I was like, I cannot give up my wine glasses. I was so sad about having to not have wine glasses in the house. It really bothered me. I'm
Right.
like, why can't, I'm going to keep them because I'll drink water from them. I don't care. But
Ah,
also I realized I don't want to spend the rest of my life, drinking sparkling water. Like
yeah.
that's what a lot of the sober people on Instagram were doing. I got at a party with my sparkling water and I was like, that can't be right. That can't be right. That can't
Yeah.
be right. And
That
I was
can't be
trying.
life.
That can't be
Sparkling
life. And
water. Right.
I would go to this was funny. I'd go to the grocery store in hopes that there would be, I tried all the non-alcoholic stuff at the grocery store and I'd go every week to see if there was something new. There never was for a long time.
Right.
But then I realized, oh, I'm going to start a store selling non-alcoholic drinks because there was so much in the UK. The UK was 5 years ahead of us at the time. I'm like, I'm going to import all this stuff from the UK and I'm going to start an online store and I'm going to I'm going to sell non-alcoholic drinks. And then I started going down that path and even taking a step back, I looked around at when I was kind of moaning about drinking sparkling water for the rest of my life and I was like, if we can make great hamburgers from beans, we sure as hell, somebody is going to create non-alcoholic drinks that are good. From all of our innovation, this is going to happen. I just had this moment where I'm like, this is the next frontier. And
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
was in
Yeah.
2020. So I was like, I'm going to bring in stuff from the UK. And then I realized how much paperwork it was to be an importer. I'm like, I'm not doing
good.
that. No, I'm good. What really kind of turned it for me was like, nobody's talking about this. Somebody has to be the one talking about being sober curious, choosing an alcohol-free lifestyle. Because I wasn't, I wouldn't say I wasn't anywhere close to being an alcoholic, but I was definitely in a very danger zone. I was a gray area drinker. So I
Yeah.
was able
Yeah.
to I was a highly functioning executive mom, long distance runner, but like whenever I could, I would hammer back as much as I could, like knowing what the consequences were going to be. So I said, okay, I had to to make that choice, but I realized that nobody was really like kind of leaning into the drink space because it hadn't even evolved yet. It wasn't even there. And that was the most interesting thing for me because if you aren't going to drink alcohol, what are you going to drink?
Right. Right.
And I felt like it was so unfair that I'd go to a restaurant and it was during COVID. There weren't restaurants open anyway, but
There was nothing. There wasn't
there was
an option.
nothing.
Yeah.
Like I'd go to the grocery store, because that's the one place everybody could go was grocery shopping and there was nothing there. Or you could order online. There was nothing on Amazon. But I just had this burning passion to like, okay, I tried a few things. I had a moment where, I tried, I don't remember what the brand was, but it was the first time I had non-alcoholic gin, like a good one.
Yeah.
And it was one of the few out there in the world. And I had a moment. It was really like a life-changing moment because I remember sitting on this person's porch and they were in the drink space and they had said, "Oh, hey, I've got this non-alcoholic gin. You want to try it?" I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely I do. And I remember taking a shot of this warm and thinking, I'll never forget. I was looking out off of this porch thinking, "Oh my God, somebody out there cares
Right.
what a non-drinker wants to drink."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody out there actually cares. It was very emotional because it was like, holy crap. Somebody actually understands that I want to have something better than sparkling water. They care about what people who don't drink are drinking. And it was that moment where I was like, I want other people to feel this. I want other people to have a gin and tonic without alcohol, be like, wow, somebody
Right.
understands
I
me.
have that feel of it without the
With
alcohol.
yeah, and that like I can still have a good drink. I'm a grown up.
Yeah, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with me. Like I can have a gin and tonic without alcohol and, be included in the world. And that's kind of where there was a couple of things I pinpointed there, but yeah, that was sort of where I was like, I've got to start sharing this with the world that you can have a great gin and tonic without alcohol, but oh my God, life is pretty good when you don't drink.
Yeah.
People were going through, this was during the pandemic, and there was a lot of stress during the pandemic, a lot of anxiety. And as you know, alcohol causes an increase in
All of
anxiety,
that.
stress, right? I am like, people's stress and anxiety are going up and they're drinking more. And I'm like, it's a no-brainer. My stress and anxiety are going down and I'm not drinking. Loved the pandemic because not because I loved what happened to the world, but I got to spend time with my kids. And because I wasn't drinking, it was a time I am every day. I'm so grateful that I got to be there with my kids for almost 2 years in lockdown. Like
Right, right.
there was obviously ups and downs, but my kids still laugh about how, Mom, do you remember when we went out on that hike in the middle of COVID and we got lost and we couldn't find our way back to the road or whatever? And like that wouldn't have happened had I been like sitting on the couch scrolling on, Instagram, TikTok,
With your
with a
mommy
glass
juice.
of wine, worried about the world. Those things wouldn't have happened. So I'm very grateful. So that was sort of where I got this passion, and some good clean fun came out of that in 2021 because I was like, I really want to start a media platform, a lifestyle platform to bring people together and share what you can drink when you're not drinking.
Right.
And so that's sort of the thing that nobody else was doing it. I'm like, I've got to share this. This is so exciting. I feel great. And there's all these
Yeah.
things, and like, you don't need to drink anymore. Let's go.
Right. So, you call yourself the sober sommelier. Like, what does that mean in practice? As people, if I'm seeing this word, what does that actually mean in practice?
So I studied wine for many years. I was hoping actually at some point, after my second son was born, I really was gearing up to like, I'm going to go work in hospitality. I worked as a marketing executive. Like this was something I was sort of doing on the side, but I really enjoyed the science behind wine and how each region has different terroirs and how that translates into taste and just the like renewal. Every year there's new wines that
Yeah,
people
yeah.
say this is the best wine ever, and it's like it's just a renewal of the same thing over and over again, but it's
Right.
fun. It's like and it's an agricultural product, which is different than
Yes.
everything else. Beer and spirits can be done in a tank, and there's a bit of a gamble with wine. Like you plant the grapes, you hope they're gonna the weather's going to be great. Like, is Napa going to get sunshine or too much rain this year? I don't know. Like,
Right, right.
so that was really exciting for me. But then when I stopped drinking, I was like, well, I want to, I can't believe I've wasted all this knowledge. So I called myself the sober sommelier because, it wasn't just about wine. It's also about drinks. Like
Yeah.
what are the good spirits? What are the good, I'm not a beer person necessarily, but we've come a long way with beer. And so in practice, the sober sommelier is just a term to share with people. Like I can help you choose something that you want to drink. When I say people, I mean restaurants and
Right, right.
hospitality and like if somebody wants to work with me. And I've done a little bit of consulting here and there with restaurants on their menus and
Oh,
things like
nice.
that. So that's the term sober sommelier really is, drinks that don't have alcohol in them. And, are they good or not? Like what's good? How can I help you pick something that you enjoy?
Right. And I like that because, was probably like 4 years ago. I tried my first like, non-alcoholic wine. And for most people think it's that non-alcoholic wine that you serve on at Passover, and it's on the bottom shelf, and you got to dust off, you got to
Yeah.
dust it off
Yeah.
every like spring and bring it home.
Yeah.
How far has the industry like really come
Oh,
with creating, truly like, the one I found that I really enjoy is called Shirley, and it has that
Oh yeah, surely.
it
Yeah.
has that same like wine mouth feel
Yes.
that like, you don't
You're
feel like
missing.
like
Yeah.
you're like I'm eating like, drinking like watered down grape juice.
Yeah. So actually, a funny story about the Mogen David. My husband's Jewish, so we went to we had, I think it was in April or May, we went to Passover, and they had friends coming up from Miami, and I brought a really expensive bottle of non-alcoholic wine, like the most expensive in the world. It's a 20-year-old Century. It's called Century Blend. It's been lying down for 20 years and dealcoholized. Like it's out of most people's reach. And I was like, it's kosher, so we're gonna have this. And the whole family chose the Mogen David because it has alcohol in it. And then they were taking tequila shots, which was very weird. They've never done that before, but it's the Miami connection, I guess.
You're like, okay, I guess that's what the Miami Jews do now. All right.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm just gonna have my expensive wine. You guys don't touch it.
There was
Please.
an
Anyway,
agave plant during Passover.
yeah, there's no connection. Anyway, so the industry started out with like vacuum distillation was the only method for a while, and then there was reverse osmosis after that. And those were the two sort of methodologies that created the grape juice wines, the stuff you found in the grocery store. I don't want to put down any brands because they were the forerunners to this
Right.
whole movement, but it was an industrial process in that they took a bunch of grapes, put them in the vacuum, pressed a button, and walked away. There was no wine making. There was no
Gotcha.
care and technique to this process because there wasn't a winemaker involved who knew where the grapes were from. They were bought at bulk at the auctions. Like, so it wasn't bad for people who needed it at the time. So
No.
this was, yes, sure, it has a rubbery smell. It tasted like burnt grape juice. It wasn't great, but it was the precursor to where we are now. Those things had to happen for us to get where we are. So right now, the third thing that was invented was the spinning cone technology. And what the spinning cone does is it takes the wine, the real wine, and it spins it in this vacuum. And it separates three parts of the wine. It separates the alcohol from the juice and then the aroma distillate. And the aroma distillate is the thing that gives wine its taste and its smell. So the alcohol is then taken and a lot of the times the wineries that are doing this, they will resell the alcohol to, because it's clear alcohol, it's zero, like a alcohol basically. They'll sell it to like White Claw or like, you know what I mean? They
Right.
sell it to people who are making coolers and that kind of thing.
Right.
Or whatever. They don't dump it out. They sell it. And then the juice and the aroma distillate are then put back together. And often there's a little bit of unfermented grape must from whatever the varietal is put back into the wine. That involves some serious winemaking techniques
Gotcha.
and loving TLC to come out with an end product that is drinkable and it tastes like wine. It has the mouthfeel and it's it's becoming a lot more common. A lot of, I'd say 50% of the wines out there now are using a spinning cone. There's another new technique that's coming out of Europe called resin. They use resin. I don't know too much about it, but that is going to be the future. That type of like removal of alcohol from wine using resin is going to be the number one thing because right now the wines that are being developed with this process are like stunning. I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell. So I'm a brand ambassador for a brand called Geronimo. They're from Austria. They chose me, but I also chose them. I only wanted to work with brands that are at the level that I expect.
Yeah.
As a former student of wine, I'm still a student of wine technically, but Geronimo was the first wine that I had that really you can't tell the difference between
wine.
Yeah, you could put it blind next to something and it would be very difficult to tell that there was no alcohol in it. So it's an Austrian company and they have 4 styles, 5. And so that was the 20-year-old wine I was telling you about. So
Gotcha.
they are really pushing the envelope, Geronimo, on, using this technique of removing alcohol, dealcoholization. And this was the first time in the world that somebody has taken a 20-year-old vintage wine
And did this.
and removed the alcohol from it and then rebottled it and sold it. And so the story is actually kind of funny. They had to open up 4,000 bottles of 20-year-old wine that had been lying down for 20 years. So can you imagine?
Wow.
So they had like 40 women or something, like little nonas, sitting
Uncorking wine.
uncorking bottles. And then Patrick, the winemaker, smelled every single cork to make sure that the wine hadn't spoiled over 20 years. Because you can't put spoiled wine into
Because next thing you know, it's just
into
the
the
whole
tank.
batch is gone. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole batch is gone. So that's where we're at now. And so the moral of the story is, how far have we come? We've come from a very industrialized, unsympathetic
so
process.
now being a craft.
It's a craft. It's a true craft. And I think that every time a new wine comes out, the technology is getting better and better, but also utilizing old winemaking techniques that have come and gone. Like over the years, there's a couple of brands. There's Studio Null is, I forget what the terminology is, but they pump a little bit of carbon dioxide into their red wine. Just a teeny, like half pump of carbon dioxide to make it. It actually helps the aroma and it helps the mouthfeel.
Yeah.
And so I opened this bottle and I was like, whoa, what is this? This is really good.
Open the wrong bottle.
I'm like, is this alcohol? I'm like, oh my God. So, that's that's a very old technique. And I wish I could remember the name of it, but that's where we're at right now in the non-alcoholic wine industry. And I think it's so cool.
Yeah, it's
also, it's also terrifying that there's big alcohol, big brands like Sutter Home that have Frey or Frey. I don't know how to, like, it's at the grocery store. It's terrifying that they have the money to get these wines into restaurants. And that's we're going to start seeing on menus rather than the craft products.
And you're right. And I agree. Like Frey's been around for, for a million years. They were kind of like the forerunner, but they are kind of like you said, they are the like, how do I make this fast and cheap? Right. So it's like, with zero craft in it. But I also feel like it's us, our voices being like, this is crap. I'm willing to pay for non-crap.
Yeah. Yes, we're willing to pay, like put our money where our mouth is. So when we do find a restaurant that has a good non-alcoholic wine on the menu, we tell all our friends, we all go there and we tell the bar manager, we're here because you have non-alcoholic wine on the menu, a good one.
There's a restaurant that my husband and I go to, and we've been regulars for years. And last summer, they had this fantastic sparkling alcohol-free rosé. Ooh. And it's like, what's like summer in a glass? Like, right, you want a good, like, I love a good sparkling rosé. Like that, if a sparkling rosé, if I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna have anything to drink, I see a sparkling rosé, I'm having a sparkling rosé. Like, it's just like, it's such my thing. And then they had I'm like, non-alcoholic, put down the bottle. Like, it was delicious.
Yeah. I'm betting it was Oddbird Sparkling Rosé. Does that sound familiar? Was it a white and black label, like with a nice little black words on it? Is it German? Yeah, Swedish, but it's made in Germany. It's made in Germany.
Because the one I had was German. The one I had was German.
Oh, maybe Wander and Founder Lights 120 Sparkling Rosé. That could have been it too. Yeah.
But it was light. It was delicious, and I was like, why isn't this as prevalent as like Whispering Angel, right? Like this should be on everyone's wine list. It's absolutely delicious.
Yeah. Cupcake just came out with a non-alcoholic, and I haven't been able to try it yet because it's only available like in southern states. Like for some reason, it's not available. Like,
which is funny because Cupcake is in my mind like Sutter Home.
I think it is actually, but it's all in the branding, labeling, and marketing. That's what I've realized too. But I'm interested to try it because, Cupcake is
out everywhere.
It's everywhere. And it's very like, it's not really like terrible, but not great. Like it's sort of the middle of the road. So I'm interested to see what they've done with their non-alcoholic. But I think at the end of the day though, the more we ask for whatever it is that we want, and I feel bad because I always forget that women do like beer too.
Yes, they do.
But women who like beer are lucky because most bars and restaurants now, like I went out to a dance club the other night and they had Corona Zero.
Yeah, I do. It's funny because I feel like I see more beer zero than I do see a non-alcoholic wine mocktail
Yeah,
option.
yeah.
And
That's
it's
single
good.
serve. It's single
Yeah,
serve. It's easy for them to buy 12 and not
than
open.
a
They don't have to
bottle.
open a whole bottle. Yeah. So there are definitely hurdles to that. But again, if I could get a whole bottle of non-alcoholic wine at a restaurant, I'll buy the whole bottle. You don't need
Right,
to
I'll
just
bring it
serve,
home. Right, I'll
I'll
bring
bring
it
it
home.
home. Like I just put it on the menu and see if you don't you don't have to serve it by the or put it. You don't have to tell people you're selling it by the glass. Just because we're going to buy the bottle.
Right.
It's our generation of women actually that has the disposable income to do that, and we're the ones who want it.
But see, and I would buy the bottle because I would be like, all right, I either have nothing
Yeah.
or the bottle. And it's like back in my big drinking days, I'm like, why wouldn't I buy a bottle of wine?
Right. It's more economical.
Yeah, like the thought, like I'm like, well, if I have two glasses, I'm like, I'll just bring it home.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I've sort of been steering this conversation, forgetting that the not everybody is a zero drinker. Like not everybody's
Yes.
alcohol free like me. So I think I want to share a really important tip that is like I have found is like make or break when you're trying non-alcoholic wines is if you are saying I'm going to go to a restaurant and I'm going to have a glass of non-alcoholic wine and then I'm going to zebra stripe, I'm going to have a regular glass of wine or
Yeah.
vice versa. Don't drink the real wine first
No.
because it anesthetizes your palate, and then you're going to have your non-alcoholic wine, and
And you're gonna think
it
it's
is going to
crap.
taste like grape juice,
Yeah. You're
right?
gonna think it's crap. Yeah.
Yeah. So my tip is, if you're going to the restaurant, you're going to have non-alcoholic wine, just buy the bottle, drink some of it, take it home, whatever. Then later, if you still feel like I want to have a drink, I guarantee you the urge to have an actual glass of wine will go away once you start having the
Non-alcoholic.
non-alcoholic because you'll feel included. And then
Yeah.
my thing is always like, by the time, 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock hits, your friends have all had a couple of glasses of wine. They're acting silly, they're sloppy. And you're like, I want to go home to bed.
Yeah.
Like,
You're like, I
I'm
want to
ready
get
to
good
go
on
to
sleep.
bed. See you
Right.
later. I'm good. You guys keep drinking, whatever. Have more margaritas. Bye.
Right. And it's interesting that you say that because I was going to steer the conversation back here. It's like, you and I are preaching to the choir. So it's like we've already seen the forest and we're like, yep, this forest is great.
Yeah.
But there are people who are like still kind of looking at the forest and they're like,
Yeah, I don't know. It's scary in there. I
right.
gotta. Yeah.
So, I like that, like I like it called the zebra stripe. And I like that approach where it's like you give yourself, I tell my clients, give yourself drink tokens, right? So it's like you're ever out drinking, give yourself drink tokens and decide how many drink tokens you're gonna have that night. And so that way
Yeah.
you don't feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you can't drink, but you're not being
Yeah.
like, bring it
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
But like, for that person who says, I love my wine, I can't get it up. How do you start small?
Oh, that was me. So I was that person that was like, no way, I could not imagine a future without my wine. Like I could not. The way that I started my small baby steps was first admitting to myself without anybody else's judgment or, admitting that it was only up to me, that nobody was coming to do this for me and that it was going to be hard. And just sort of sitting with that for a little bit, like letting myself live in that like understanding that it's never easy because even if you love your wine, I'm not going to say you have an addiction, but it is an addictive substance and your brain is going to be working against you. Even if you're only saying, I'm going to go from 7 glasses a week to 4 or 3,
Yeah.
your brain is going to want those 7 glasses. It's really hard because of what alcohol is. And I don't want to be preachy because there's a lot of other resources out there where you can read about what alcohol does to your brain and your body and that kind of thing. I think it's just what happened with me was that I had to learn a little bit more about what alcohol was why it was going to be hard. I had to understand.
Right.
And so I read a book called This Naked Mind by Annie Grace, and it changed my life. Like that is, a lot of people will say that's like the Sober Curious Bible. a lot of other people of who kind of stopped drinking around the same time I did. There are hundreds of us who literally were like, I read this book, never drinking again. It's very powerful because it really is, instead of just talking about what alcohol does to your body, which it does. And I learned a lot actually in that book. I didn't know anything about alcohol when I started reading this. I didn't really understand the processes, but it really breaks down your beliefs, your subconscious and psychological beliefs around why we drink. So when you see a poster of, for Coors beer and you see all these people having a fun time at a party, they're not showing you the after picture. That's the before people get sloppy before. And so we see that poster and we believe that we're going to
be me.
That's going to be, I'm going to have fun. It's going to, I'm going to look great. I'm going to be sexy. And the reality is that as soon as you start drinking, you get sloppy, your makeup slips off your face, you're acting like a hooligan, losing your shoes, whatever, right? And you're going to have a hangover the next day and feel like shit and you're going to throw up or whatever. So that's just one aspect, but she really breaks down those beliefs of how as children we watched adults drink and we wanted, subconsciously we want to be an adult too. So when we start drinking, we're like, great, it's a rite of passage. I'm an adult. So this book is so in depth. Like I would recommend anybody listening that if you're even thinking about like, I want to cut back, I just want to understand more about alcohol and what it's doing to my body and cut back a little bit, read that book. That was my first sort of baby step because it didn't require me. She even says in the book, you might be drinking a glass of wine now, fine. Right? Like she's not saying, put down the wine now. She's like, read this, ingest it. By the time you're finished this book, you're not going to want to pick up the glass of wine. It's really true. It really was pretty magical.
No, I like that because, one of the things you've started to really pivot towards, and I think one of the other reasons why there's such a now, especially women of our age, marching towards this sober, curious, non-alcoholic life is just that we don't have the bounce back that we had.
I was shocked. So about 6 months ago, I thought I knew everything about alcohol. Like I've been in the social space and I've been writing about it and talking about it for 4.5 years. And so you get to a point where, you've adjusted all the facts, all the stuff, the stats, like what it does to you, whatever. And then bam, I start going through perimenopause without really realizing it. And because I'm not a drinker, I think that it took me a little bit longer to feel my symptoms. To be honest, I didn't have such highs and lows, but as I started trying to understand what the hell is going on with me, I started understanding a little bit more about hormones and then alcohol and what alcohol does to your, why women in perimenopause and menopause should not drink at all. And the number one thing that I was like, oh my God, like mic drop is that hormones get processed in your liver. But unfortunately, alcohol's the VIP. When it enters the room in your liver,
it's all eyes on me.
It's all eyes on me. And your liver stops processing the hormones that you need it stops breaking down estrogen. So then it turns out, okay, we're going to just keep this estrogen. It's going to start circulating back into your system. The estrogen doesn't get broken down. It starts circulating back into your system. And all of a sudden you're wondering, why do I have estrogen dominance?
Right. Why is this belly just hanging out?
Hanging out. And there's lots of other reasons. So I don't want to minimize this and say it's only because of alcohol, but
it's not helping.
It's not helping, especially with cortisol, sleep, all the things that, you're already struggling with estrogen fluctuations, testosterone fluctuations, all that kind of stuff. But like progesterone, which is the calming, soothing hormone, doesn't get processed either. So it's like it really wreaks havoc on all of the things that are already starting to happen in your body. It just escalates everything. It's the alcohol in your body's the VIP. And that's why it's so dangerous for women in perimenopause, because even a couple of glasses a week is going to set you back.
Yeah. And, I've always been, telling people like BT dubs, if you're trying to lose weight, the alcohol, it's going to take you a few days to burn through the alcohol before you even think about burning anything else in your body. And the beverage companies have us so consumed by no sugar in this, no carbs in
Yeah.
this,
Organic.
right? Organic, that they never tell you, oh, by the way, you're drinking alcohol, and it's the
Yeah.
alcohol in the alcohol that's the
That's the
problem.
bad thing.
Right.
Yeah. It's funny you say the low sugar too, because this is really one of the most searched things on my website. People are looking for low sugar, non-alcoholic wine. And I like to see that. I like people are interested, they're searching because it goes hand in hand. And you could be a non-drinker, like, and just by naturally, you're not, you don't drink that much or, once in a while here and there, but you could be eating a lot of sugar. And that, that was my thing. That was what was going on with me. I stopped drinking and I started eating sugar.
Right, right.
And I was like, yay, I can have dessert now. So I find it really interesting that it's the sugar alcohol combination that really comes for us at
Yeah.
this age. And it's like, great, we can't have anything good. God, we can't have nice things at 48.
And so I'm laughing because that was the question that I was about to ask you, that, so many people are like, stomping their feet like a 2-year-old, like, this isn't fair. Back in the day, I could like drink 2 or 3 glasses of wine a night and wake up the next morning like nothing was wrong.
Yeah. 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 I mean, that's most of my late 20s and early 30s. It was like going out. My husband and I didn't cook at that age. Are you kidding? Like we went out for dinner almost every night.
We were like, if you weren't out to dinner, like you were calling each other on the way home and someone was picking something up on the way home.
And you're coordinating where you're going for drinks, whatever. Like, yeah, you could have easily on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, I could just sit on my balcony and have a couple glasses of wine and then like roll into work. And I'm sure now that if I even have one, like, because I've also haven't drank for so long, but I can just imagine like if I hadn't stopped drinking, like just at this age, having one glass of wine, I would have been wrecked for sure.
Right. So, what do you think the biggest mindset shifts that people need to start to make as they think about, moving completely away or even partially away from alcohol?
I think the number one mindset shift is to understand that it's, you might desire it, and that's the wine, the alcohol, the beer, the spirits, whatever, working on your brain. And once you understand that it's a physical thing, that it's your brain telling you that you want it, it's not actually your real desire, that like it's easier to overcome it. Once you understand that it's the substance, I know this is like, this sounds like sober messaging, but it's not. It really is. It's more about wellness.
Yeah. Yeah.
That the substance itself, like the alcohol itself, is the thing that's keeping you from not having another one. It's not you.
Yeah. And
it's not your weakness. You're not the weakness. It's the actual thing you're drinking is the thing that's helping your brain decide that you need to have another one. It's not, that's the subtle mindset shift, is like, it's you're not weak.
Yeah.
It's not about mind. It's not about willpower and like white
discipline
knuckling and discipline.
Motivation.
It's really once you understand that the substance works on your brain. Like I keep saying the substance as if I'm in AA, but I don't mean to talk like that, but that the alcohol itself is the thing that works on your brain even in the smallest ways, even if you only have a couple of drinks a week, that it's built sort of like neural pathways in your brain to tell you that this is your safe zone. This is where you feel good when you have a couple of drinks.
Right.
So it's more about understanding that it's a trick.
Yeah.
It's tricked you.
And I love how you use that, because I use this conversation a lot around food, is that we think we're the failure, I couldn't say no to the ice cream. I couldn't say no to the glass of wine, where it's like the sugar, the alcohol, the fat, the whatever.
They're designed.
I literally just did a podcast 2 hours ago, and we were talking about just how there's whole departments that are designed to get you hooked on said ice cream, said
popcorn with protein on it.
Right. That's the marketing, like God love them, right? they've been able
Yeah.
to just get us like, hooked into whatever it
Yeah.
is that you're hooked on. And we just need to forgive ourselves and that know that, there's only a handful of us can be thrown into the deep end with a rock and be like, no alcohol and walk away, where others of us need to take those baby
Yeah.
steps.
Yeah. So I think the baby step, and I guess maybe my mindset shift was a little bit harsh, but I think it's like tough love. It's like it's the same
Yes.
with food. And actually, I'm glad that you said that, because this is sort of, I'm really struggling with, in a good way. I'm working through it on like, why do I keep going back to sugar in the evenings? Like, and trying to work through that, being kind to myself, and like cutting, saying, okay, I understand that sugar is an addictive substance also.
Yeah.
We've normalized sugar everywhere. And working through that in a very, I guess, a gracious way to myself, being kind to myself, that, I had a little bit of ice cream last night, and I enjoyed it. I ate it slowly, like, and I still wanted more afterwards. But then I reminded myself, that's the ice cream playing on the dopamine, the sugar playing on the dopamine in your brain. So it is a struggle. It's going to be hard if you really want to cut back on how much you're drinking. It's not easy, but it is a mindset shift to understanding that you can't. It's not a white knuckle thing. It's not like, oh, I've got to like just try and have willpower. It really is like understanding that it's not you. It's the actual thing designed to keep you hooked.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And, I'm grateful that you said that, because I feel like there's only so many between food and alcohol. I feel like that's like the evil twin sisters that people always feel like, why can't I just, wake up in the morning
Yeah.
and be able to just do? And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not how it works. Like, some people can and rock on with your bad self, or you're that person.
Yeah.
But if you're
Yeah.
not that person, you're not a failure, because you
Yeah.
can't do
It's
that.
it's also really complex. Like, the
Yeah.
relationship that we have with sugar and with alcohol is it's every single person has complexities that are only they are unique to them, and only they are going to be able to understand them. And it's such a complex system. Our bodies are so complex, but it's also, what is their social history? What has gone on in their life? Have they had trauma where they're turning to alcohol and food to deal with that trauma? Like,
Right,
when
right.
I gave up alcohol, it was like peeling back an onion. So many things. It seems unreal now when I say this, but it literally was like I had my head stuck in the sand as far as my own self-awareness, my own deeper issues. I had never dealt with anything. And I started peeling back this onion, and I was like, holy crap, I'm still peeling back the onion. And it's the same with food. People use food and alcohol interchangeably to deal with stress, emotional stuff, trauma, abuse. So it's very complex. And so, yeah, some people are going to maybe feel like, this isn't fair. I just want to wake up and but don't forget, you have had all these things happen in your life that are working against you. It's not just your physiology; it could be also your psychology, and it's
Right.
so complex. So just be gracious with yourself, and if you really want something, you can get it. It's going to be hard, and I
Right.
think we're so soft, not soft, but I think that a lot of people want things the easy way. Actually, you said this on one of your
Yes.
other podcasts. The slow way is the shortcut.
Right. And, one of my mentors said this to me. And of course, like, it was at a time that I was in my frustration. And he said, easiest earn. And you're like, at the time, you're just like, shut up. But it is like, easy is earned. And, we want that Amazon Prime. Like, if I order it today, you better be here in 3 days, or I'm pissed.
Better be here tomorrow. Are you kidding?
Right.
Better be on my doorstep by 5 a.m. I always pay for the 4 to 8 a.m.
I'm going back to the 2 day. I'm giving it 2 days. I'm like, all right, go back to the original 2 day promise. But like, I think all of us want that. Like, I did good today, so I should get an immediate reward, right?
Yeah.
Versus
Yeah.
like, that reward probably, for you, like, you did 30 days and you're like, okay, what's next? Where it's like,
Yeah.
it's that, stealing from AA. It's like, it's 1 day at a time. Like,
Yeah,
Thursday
it
might-
really is. It really is 1 day at a time with food and with alcohol. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 day at a time, because it's like, today could have been an amazing day, but tomorrow my boss could yell at me. My kids could be like,
Yeah.
yelling at me all day
And
long.
guess what? You're probably not going to go to the gym if that's your day. And guess what? You're going to be okay. You're going to go to the gym the next day. Like, that's how
Yeah.
I've started to live my life now, is like, great, you worked out really hard Saturday and now you can't walk for 2 days because you overshot on your Bulgarian split squats, whatever. I'm like,
Yes.
you're not going to the gym until that feels better. I'm like, too bad. I
Right.
don't care. That's the way I live my life now. I'm like, if
And
I don't feel like it, I'm not going.
right. But it's like, it's kind of like, but it's give and take. You're like, okay, it's Wednesday. I'm going to skip Thursday. I'm going to see how I feel on Friday. But it's not
Yeah.
like I'm saying, screw it,
Yeah.
see you in a month. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going to take
Yeah.
it day by
Yeah.
day, but
Yeah.
know that it's not going to be weeks
Yeah.
before I head
Yeah.
back.
So, and actually, well, back to alcohol, the way that I did it in my first 8 months, and people always ask me about this, and I forget how important that is because it's been so long for me now that I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't remember, like, I
You're like, you
forget
kind
to,
of like, you're kind of like, I kind of blacked out. I was just
well,
kind of like in the moment.
it's not really like relevant. It's not
Yeah.
relevant to my current, so I forget about the process. But that's the most important part
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
for those 8 months where I was like, what I called it rethinking drinking. That used to be kind of the
Oh, I
slogan
like that.
for some good clean fun. It used to be rethinking drinking. There were a lot of times where, July came around. I had a wedding anniversary, and my husband wasn't quite sold on the idea that I was trying to quit drinking, and so it wasn't that he was like, oh, I knew you were going to order a glass of wine, but we went out for our anniversary and he didn't say, oh, you shouldn't order a glass of wine. Like, I think he didn't understand, like,
Right.
in the moment that like me ordering a glass of wine at the restaurant probably like wasn't the best idea because then on the way home we got a bottle and we sat in the backyard and chatted. He got his beer and like I ended up drinking a bottle and a half probably that night just because it was our anniversary and whatever. And
Right.
like it never ends well when when Sarah does that. But that was so the next day then I was like, wow, I really feel like, you know, I was gracious enough with myself to say, okay, you did that. You don't feel good. Good reminder on why you shouldn't drink this much.
Yep.
Let's just, today's a new day. Let's just keep going. And Annie Grace says in her book, This Naked Mind, if your kid comes home with a 97% on a test, it's still an A, and you're still going to be proud of them. So don't be so hard on yourself when you're getting a 98 or a 97%. It's not
Yeah.
always going to be 100%. So there were several, I got in a car accident and the same week my son got bit by a dog. We thought he had rabies. Like I had wine. That was in August. So I'd say like once a month for those 8 months, there was something that was like, I'm gonna have a glass of wine. I can't handle the stress. And then just reevaluating the next day, like, okay, you don't feel good today. But today's a new day. And let's just evaluate how we're going to handle that better next time. Finally, when I did end up stopping drinking, it was a lot easier because I'd already gone through,
Yeah.
I was already partially like, 80% or 90% of days I was not having any alcohol at all. So it was easier for me to finally in January say, I'm done. I'm not drinking ever again. And that was it. Because I'd already worked hard on
Right.
the mindset change and being gracious and gentle with myself.
Yes, yes, yes. One of my good friends, she says, be kind, not cruel to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, this kind of leads me into my last question before we go into the lightning round is that, we have holidays, right? Or we have that friend who is the drink pusher, that is like, Sarah, red or white, Sarah,
Yeah.
I'm making
Yeah.
mojitos. Like,
Right. Yeah.
so, how do you navigate the alcohol Al who's like always like pouring the drinks and making sure everyone has one?
Head them off at the pass and bring your own stuff. Bring your own stuff. Even if it's like maybe not zero alcohol, maybe you're bringing something light. Maybe you're bringing a lighter beer or lighter wine. Head them off and just say, I brought my own because today I'm working on my sugar intake or whatever. Like I'm on a diet. Just say something like it
Right.
doesn't matter. Just bring your own stuff and they're gonna move on to the next best person, somebody who's going to be their drinking partner. They'll get tired
Right.
of you real fast. If you start going on, actually bring a bottle of non-alcoholic wine and then just start going on at length about how great it is and like, oh, you should try some. You be the pusher. Push right back. They'll get tired of you real fast and they'll move away. So that's what I always say. I say if you're going to, because I know it's August and Thanksgiving is a while away, but like there's, lots of holidays coming up and there's, that's when it gets hard because you've got those people that are like, and you've got parties to go to and don't feel bad about bringing your own drinks.
Yeah, because during my 6 months of sober when I first started this, so many people would be like, "Can't you just have one?" And you're just
No.
like, and you like, and I'm like, I have no problem. I have zero F's when it comes to like, this
Yeah.
is my goal. Leave me the hell alone, right? I got to be on a stage with 2 inches of fabric across my ass, and so, yeah, that one does mean something to me.
Yeah, and you've had the experience of I guess having to leaning into your health like in that extreme way. And when I
Yeah,
say extreme, I don't mean it's bad. I just
it
mean
was
like,
extreme. You're not offending me at all.
okay, it's because I actually have mad respect for with female bodybuilders because it's so disciplined. But I'm going to say I do know several women who were serious addicts, got sober, and then went into weightlifting because it's the same neural pathway.
It's literally, it's a drug. Is it something you taste? It's literally,
Yeah. Yeah.
I will probably, I know that, and there's still like some things that I look at the people who are attracted to it, and on the other side as a coach of people doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing some of their backstories, and why they were doing it, because there's
Yeah.
just other areas of their life that they need to
Yeah.
control, and
Yeah. This is the control.
this
Yeah.
was the control.
I had not a personal, but I had a bit of a like awesome moment at the gym the other day. I know this is not related to alcohol, but I'm grateful for these moments because of where I am at. But I've had back problems since I was in my 20s. Like
Mm.
my lower back goes out more and more frequently.
Ugh.
And I used to just do like strength training with weights in my basement. I've been in and out of gyms my whole life. And I was at a gym before COVID when I was drinking and not taking my health seriously. During COVID, I had some weights, as everybody did. We all had weights in our basement. And I just stuck with that for a bit. And, you're not getting anywhere. So I went to the gym. I went back to the gym finally in May, like actually got a membership. And I had a few free sessions and I was like, I can't do RDLs because of my lower back. Like I can't do it. But because I've been doing leg presses on the machine, I suddenly have started feeling like my back is getting stronger. And so I started doing a few RDLs with like a 50-pound bar, like nothing heavy, like just 40 or 50 pounds. I used the big bar the other day with 100, it was 100 pounds total. And I did 6 RDLs and I literally like put the bar down and did punched my arms in the air and all the guys were looking at me. I'm like, I don't care. I was so proud of myself. I was so proud of myself because it was such an accomplishment. But I had that moment where you can see
Yeah.
how being strong, it's a different neural pathway. It's a similar neural pathway, but different than anything I'd ever experienced because I've never been strong. But it was
Yeah.
that moment where I'm like, oh, I could get addicted to this.
Yeah, because it's like the fact that like I did that. Like, there was like, you went from like 0 to 60 and you're like, look at me. Like, what else can I do? Like, I'm gonna go and lift that guy over there.
Yeah.
He's 300 pounds, but I think I
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. I was just like, wow, this is really awesome. Like, I cannot believe I just did this. Like, I picked it up off the floor. I did 6 RDLs and it was really heavy, but I just felt so powerful when I was finished. And I was like, this could never have happened. These are the times when I'm like, I'm so grateful that I'm clear headed.
Right.
I can see what the priorities are and I can achieve something and I'm not scared away by doing something hard.
I
That's
love
another
it.
thing that I've learned from this whole journey.
I love it. Like, it's interesting because it's like, how they're like, there's a lesson here, but I don't know what the lesson is. So here you are, fast forward almost 5.5 years, and like, you're like, now the lessons are like
Yeah.
ripping off. Where if we talk maybe 6 months into it, maybe there might be been one lesson, but now you're like, oh, and this, and
Yeah.
then this, and then this, and then
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. They still keep happening. I've said this already today on this podcast, but it's been over 5 years and I hardly feel there's no struggle anymore.
Yeah.
And I think this is the hardest thing for people to believe is like that you can be happy and that it's like you can live your life without drinking, and you 100% can. I don't think about it anymore. My life isn't any less fun. I went out for pizza the other night with a girlfriend and they had phony Negroni at the I don't know if you've seen those, the phony
Yeah, I
Negroni. They
have.
had those at the restaurant. It was so fun. It was like Italian drinks. They bring it in a little glass, had some pizza. We laughed our heads off. Like we had such a good night. It was hot and the middle of summer and people are all around, us laughing and drinking, whatever. We're all having the same collective experience of enjoying life. And I think that's the beauty of this is that it feels impossible,
Yeah.
but it's the long game.
Yeah.
And I promise you, if you are 40 right now and you haven't hit perimenopause, just start thinking about cutting back on alcohol now because like you're going to be happy you did that when you start really getting into perimenopause.
Yeah. I mean, I think what pushes most people over the edge is like when you just feel like trash, it's like, especially you feel like trash and you have kids and like you can't just laze on the couch like you did in your 20s when you had a really bad hangover.
Yeah.
Because your kids are like, I still got to go to soccer. You still got to sit there for 4 hours and watch me run around with people yelling. And that you're probably like looking around being like, for the love of God. So if one more person screams, I'm going postal.
Well, they've all got wine in their cups and beer in their travel mugs, their Stanleys, right? Like, so everybody's drinking on the sidelines. I mean, it's so interesting to see the world
through sober eyes. Yeah.
Through sober eyes. Because you're ooh, like I'm not judging, but sometimes I'm like, that's a little cringy. Like it's obvious that mom has like something in her cup, like her kids are watching and I'm not judging. Like if that's you, I'm sorry. I love you. Don't come for me. But I think that people don't realize they don't see themselves. It's not their fault. They just don't see themselves until after. They're like, oh, whoa, maybe, my kids are watching. Maybe I shouldn't have done that.
All right. So I'm going to call this lightning round sip or skip. These are quick.
Ooh.
Quick.
Oh, I'm scared.
They're easy.
Okay.
No overthinking. All right. Red, white, sparkling.
White right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Worst hangover culprit, wine, beer, or cocktails?
Oh, definitely wine.
Yeah, it does. Nothing beats a wine headache.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Friday night, in or out?
Oh, in. I'm in my late 40s. All in.
Your go-to summer drink?
Oh, for 5 years, my go-to summer drink has been non-alcoholic vermouth with either diet tonic water, like low sugar tonic water, or a non-alcoholic sparkling wine.
Oh,
it's amazing. You could even drop in like a splash of orange juice, a little bit of like whatever you have around the house. You can add a third. I used to do a series on my Instagram channel called Too Tired to Make a Mocktail. And it was all about like, what are three ingredients, no shaking. What can you make? And, so vermouth and something bubbly. And then adding a little bit of flavor to that if you want to, like is always like lemon, like a citrus, like lemon or lime or a little bit of orange juice is like just so good.
It's funny because there is a non-alcoholic store here in my town, and they had like a afternoon day drinking party.
Yeah.
And like you said, every mocktail had like 50 steps. And I'm like, I am lazy. I am not going to make a 50-step drink. I need, I'm like, I want the rum and Coke. Like I want.
Yeah. Okay. So it's so funny you mentioned this because this has been one of my biggest beefs. I never started out to be a mixologist, but Instagram forced me to make these complicated recipes because it's all a competition. We're all everybody is trying to be like the top mocktail mixologist, whatever. But my friend, Deb, AKA she's Mocktail Mom on Instagram. And I think everybody should follow her. She's, in her 50s, not that age matters, but she's a little bit older than me, but, she's all about right from the beginning was like, you don't need to drink. All you need to do is squeeze some lemon, put in some non-alcoholic rum and put in some like blah, blah, blah into your glass, like squeeze some lime. Like she does these like really super simple. She doesn't have fancy glassware. She just has a cup and she's like on her kitchen, breakfast bar. And she's like, here, do this, do this, do this. Super simple. And I started thinking about this and that's why I started that series. And maybe I'll restart that series again because when you're a busy mom, you don't have time to make a 700-step mocktail. And it's aesthetic. It's videos are beautiful.
But even if I had all the time in the world, I don't want to make the time.
Yeah.
I want, like you said, it's like a squeeze of lemon, some soda, the non-alcoholic, boom, ice, let's go.
Yeah. Oh, we haven't talked about? this is going to have to be another podcast, chapter 2. But
I love chapter 2.
We haven't talked about kava. So my other drink of the moment is kava. It's called Kava Haven. It's a non-alcoholic spirit made of kava. So I usually drink that with a little bit of club soda. And what have I been mixing with it lately? You could even do diet tonic water with that. But there's a non-alcoholic, it's like kind of a gin called Amethyst. They've got a couple of different flavors. And so I do a little bit of Kava Haven, a little bit of the Amethyst lemon Serrano or whatever, and then some club soda. It's so good. And it helps with anxiety. And not that I have a huge anxiety, but sometimes I just need a Friday night,
a little calm down.
So that is my kind of thing. I've been rotating those two things, the vermouth and tonic and the Kava Haven stuff. So through all this whole summer, those are the two things I'd be drinking.
I absolutely love it. So I always ask everyone, what's one thing that makes you feel magical?
So I think for me, this is a very selfish thing, but the thing that makes me feel magical is when I'm really aligned in what I'm doing. And I worked for so long in a job in an industry that I didn't love. I didn't feel good. And the thing that lights me up right now, I'm talking about non-alcoholic drinks. 10 years from now, I could be like anti-skinny jeans. I don't know, whatever's going to be next. Right. But I think that what makes me feel magical is when I'm aligned in what my purpose is and when I'm feeling my best doing that. So, I'm not going to preach about going to the gym and stuff, but this is definitely feels good to be getting healthier and be doing something I love. And that's a magical feeling. And I actually feel like alcohol numbs your magic.
Yeah, it can for sure.
So I'm blessed every day.
I love hearing that. And, I really like this conversation. I think I like it a lot because we talked about non-alcoholic, but we also non-alcoholic options, sober cures, but we also talked about the reason why. And I'm hoping that someone here listening to the show today was like, yeah, I'm sick of feeling like trash when I wake up in the morning, or yeah, I haven't been able to lose the weight. And maybe it is the alcohol. And we're not saying you have to never have a drink again.
And you don't have to go to AA.
And you don't have to go to AA. It's I call myself sober curious. Am I going to have a drink every weekend? No, but you know what? Sometimes I feel like, I want to have a drink. And sometimes I'm like, I'm good. And it's being able to get to that point where you can say, I'm good.
Yeah, take it or leave it. That's the goal, I think, is to be able to take it or leave it for most people. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do that because I have a very addictive personality. and
it's but it's know yourself. It's I know me. I was you know what? I didn't think I'd ever get to this place. I will be honest. 15 years ago, I didn't understand people who could just have 2 drinks. I'm
same.
Who are those?
Who goes to a restaurant and has 1 glass of wine?
Right. I'm if I'm having 2 drinks, that means I'm drinking. And so it's I didn't understand that. And so I'm, shocked that I'm here at this place, but I understand that not everyone can get to that place, but also know you. And, if this episode has you rethinking your habits, do me a favor, hit subscribe. Sarah has a phenomenal website. Literally you will go down a rabbit hole of just many great, just articles, recipes, different types of, non-alcoholic, liquors, spirits, wines, because I know I've brought some non-alcoholic stuff that I'm this is garbage. And you're you spent $40 on crap. So she tells you what's crap and what's good. So absolutely do me a favor. If this hit you in the feels, screenshot this and let us both know on the gram. Reach out to Sarah, go to her website. Yeah. We're just here to offer help and support, and don't ever feel you need to go to a meeting. You can just decide that this is just something you just want to try, And agreed. Beyond, was it Sober October and Dry January?
Yeah. Reach out anytime. My Instagram is Some Good Clean Fun. Reach out anytime. If you just want to whatever, ask me questions. I always say my door is always open. My DMs are always open. And I am happy to help, point people in the right direction anyway. I'm not a sober coach. So I don't want to say I'm going to coach anybody through sober, but I do know sober coaches who are incredible if that's what you want. And yeah, you don't have to go to a meeting. You can just start slowly and look at some of my recommendations on the website, sign up for my newsletter, on Substack. And, you could ask me questions on Substack too. If you ever have any questions about drinks or whatever. So sober inspiration. I'm here for it all.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being on the show. And Magic Makers, as always, thanks for your listening. And, hopefully this got you thinking about life in a different way. All right. I will talk to you guys next week. And thank you so much, Sarah, for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a true pleasure and joy.
Thank you for listening to the Fit Girl Magic podcast. If you've made it this far, yay. I'm thinking you enjoyed the show. Let's continue the conversation on Instagram. You can find me at Kim Jefferson Coach. In order for me to keep sharing this message, do me a favor and leave me a 5-star review on iTunes. While you're there, don't forget to subscribe so that you won't miss an episode. New episodes are available every Wednesday. The Fit Girl Magic podcast is intended to provide you with tips, tools, and strategies that will help you make better decisions about your health. I really appreciate your feedback and your support. Thank you so much.